Welcome back to Retro Gamer Gen X's Retro Gaming and Computing channel. Today's video is going to be a really special one. I got some really amazing pickups that I want to share with you guys. And in the second segment of the video, I'm going to do kind of a response video to a really cool YouTuber named Retro Projections. So stay tuned, lots coming up. All right, guys, so as you can see, my first pickup here is this amazing thing right here. So I did end up getting an Odyssey 2 locally here on Facebook Marketplace. So really cool deal. I haven't tested it out yet because this did not come with the original cartridge. It's pretty much complete besides the cartridge and the RF switch box, which is kind of interesting because honestly, this is the first generation of Odyssey where it has the joystick ports in the back, but it also has a really weird RF cable, and I'll show you guys that here in a minute. But as you guys can see, we do have the original box here. It's not in the greatest shape, but it will do. Definitely really cool to have. So as we open it up, we can see that the Odyssey is inside cellophane along with the controllers and the power adapter. Now, if we did have the cartridge, it would be in here, and if we had the RF switch box, it would be either here or here, one of the two. But let me go ahead and get this thing taken out, and I'll show you guys everything here. All right, guys, so we got everything taken out the box here. And so here is the Magnavox Odyssey 2. Now, this is the first generation of the Odyssey 2. And a couple ways you can tell that is because it says Magnavox above the power here. And it has the DB9 connectors for the joysticks. Whereas in the older or the newer generations, it actually has the joysticks cords coming straight out of the back here, connected to the motherboard. Now also, with this older generation, this is the RF cable. I don't know if you guys can see that, yeah. But definitely a little bit different than our normal standard RF cable. But you can replace these. Basically, you can put a regular standard RF cable on this, because out of the RF modulator in there, it actually has an RCA jack. And we could just put like an Atari cable on there and it would work just fine with this. So here is the joysticks. Now these things are definitely kind of nice. They are 8-directional, and they have a nice little spring load in here that self-centers, and a button. I tell there's some wear on these, or the paint's kind of faded off. But as you guys can see, it has that standard DB9 connector like an Atari controller here, if you guys can see that. But yeah, definitely pretty cool there. And then the power adapter here, this is the original Magnavox one. So pretty cool, guys, that I ended up getting one of these. I am stoked, but let's go ahead and get on to the next thing here. All right, guys, so here's the second pickup. Now, this has kind of a cool story behind it. So I work at a school. I don't know if any of you guys really knew that, but I do work at a school, and the intercom guy came to work on the intercoms a few times over the summer, and he's, an old electronics guy as well. He said he had a whole bunch of this old equipment that he just kind of wanted to get rid of. So when our intercom system broke down on us last week, he came by and he had a truck full of equipment, and this is some of the stuff that I ended up getting. But this is a Hitachi oscilloscope. It's a 20 megahertz oscilloscope. Pretty cool. It does work. Tested it out. Everything's great on it. It came with a power cord, but no probes. But I have probes already because I do already have an oscilloscope. But this will make my second one that I have. And actually, I think this one probably works better than the one I've got. So yeah, definitely a really cool pickup. Now all this stuff needs to be cleaned really well. He's had it in storage forever, but just wanted to kind of show you guys this. Later on in some of my videos, you guys will probably see this being used when I have to fix some equipment. So let's go on to the next stuff here. And so this is the next thing that I picked up from that guy. And this is basically like an NTSC signal generator for monitors and TVs and that kind of thing. So you can actually, test the channels, do video patterns, do color bars, just just really cool stuff that you can do to test out old CRT monitors and TVs. So definitely something that I'm looking forward to like messing around with. I've never had one of these. So let's go on to the third thing here. And here we have a deluxe color generator for NTSC as well. So this is kind of the same thing, just a little bit more of a compact design, as you guys can see here. So you can do different kind of color bars and different signals, horizontal lines, all that kind of stuff to be able to, just get your picture looking really well. Also, you have your channel generators and just a whole bunch of different stuff you can play around with on this thing. Definitely cool and definitely retro. I mean, looks like it came out probably in I would say maybe late 60s, maybe early 70s, something like that. I haven't really looked these up to see, when they were manufactured or anything. Now I know the oscilloscope is from the 80s, but these things I think are probably from the 70s. So that about does it for all my pickups. But now let's go ahead and get to the second part of the video here. All right, so we're down to the second segment of the video here, guys, and basically what this is a response video to Retro Projections and his YouTube channel. So if you guys haven't checked out his channel, go ahead and click on the link down below in the description. He's got a really cool retro gaming channel where he does gameplay videos and other things like that. Just really cool. He does like these gameplay videos on a projector on a wall, and to me it's just kind of cool. I've never seen anybody do anything like that. Usually it's either OBS or somebody's got a camera on a screen or something like that. You never really see the projector thing, so that's amazing. So I got to give him some props for that. And let's see if we can get him some more subs as well, because he doesn't have very many subs, but I think his content is really good. So definitely check him out and subscribe to him as well. But he did a video, what was it, about a week ago, about like why he picked Sega over Nintendo or something like that. Kind of went over his gaming history. So that's what I'm kind of gonna do today. Is I'm just gonna go over my gaming history and what from when I was a toddler all the way up to like nowadays, as far as how I play games and things like that. So first of all, first video game system I ever had was Pong, Atari Pong. Now that was given to us by, I believe it was by my aunt and uncle um, in the 70s. I'm pretty sure my mom and dad didn't buy it from a store. I think that it was given to us by my uncle and aunt. But definitely was playing that as a little one. And then in 1979, we got that system there, the Atari 2600. And to this day, the 2600 is still my favorite video game system. Yes, it's old. Yes, it's really simplistic, but I just love it. I mean, it's the game system that I grew up with. This is what I played with until in 1987, I believe it was, or 86, somewhere around there. We ended up getting the NES. So and then I was playing the Nintendo after that. Now the kind of the bad thing about that is that I think around 1984 or something, we had already went through like three Ataris, because if you guys don't know, Atari 2600s kind of have a static issue. So if you touch the controller pins on the back of the Atari, typically it likes to shock, with ESD, and just kind of kill the system to turn it into just a black screen when you turn it on. And that happened to two of our Ataris, and then we got the third one, which was the Vader. And I think in 1984 that one went out too. So for a while there, from like 1984 until like 86, 87ish, we didn't have any video game systems in my house. My parents kind of refused to buy one because we kept breaking them. But little did we know, we weren't really breaking them. It was just kind of a defect that they didn't put diodes in to be able to protect it from, give it static protection from ESD. But then we got the Nintendo, and I did end up playing with that. I mean, I was a Nintendo fanatic back then. Everybody that I knew basically had a Nintendo. A few people had the Master System as well, so it was kind of cool going over to their house and playing the Master System as well. But then, let's see, I got the Sega Genesis next, and this is, I want to say I was in high school by the time I got the Genesis. And then my parents bought me the Super Nintendo when it came out as well. So I had both systems. But honestly, guys, at that point, I was a total Sega fanboy. And I was up until the PlayStation, which we'll get to in a little bit here. But I was definitely a Sega fanboy. I got the Sega CD, I got the Sega 32X, I got all of that. And definitely was pretty cool, having all these systems. My parents were just totally amazing, but, their theory was if they bought me game systems and video games, it would keep me off the streets and away from trouble and that kind of stuff, which honestly kind of did. I mean, I stayed in the house and played video games. Um, but let's see. During that same time when I was in high school, I ended up getting or was that after I got out of high school? I think the last game system they bought me was the Sega Saturn and the Virtual Boy. I got both of those too, the Virtual Boy and a Sega Saturn. Um, and the Sega Saturn, I want to say that was right about the time I was about like moving out the house, getting my own apartment, that type of thing. But once I did get my own apartment, that was the video game system that I had back then was the Sega Saturn. Now my roommate went and bought a PlayStation 1 and was playing Gran Turismo with me, and man, I just fell in love with it. And from that point on, I became a PlayStation fanboy, and it's still that way to this day. Um, but I had the PlayStation. Or he basically moved out of the house actually, and then or out of my apartment or out of our apartment, and then I went ahead and bought a PlayStation because, quite honestly, I wanted to play like Gran Turismo and other PlayStation exclusives that weren't on the Sega Saturn. And from that point on, I was really basically a PlayStation fanboy. When the PlayStation 2 came out, I remember standing in line and waiting to get the PlayStation 2. I went through so many PlayStations, kind of like Atari's, just because of that laser disc read error that it always used to come up with. Little did I know back then that you could adjust the potentiometers on the laser and actually, fix it. But, I would go to GameStop, trade in that PlayStation, and end up getting another PlayStation from them. Well, I don't know how many PlayStation 2s I went through, but definitely did that. Now, at the same time, I had friends that were really into Xbox, so it was that whole Xbox versus PlayStation thing. Um, but really cool. And then once I got married to my wife, and then we ended up getting or having our kid, our son, um, and then we had our own house at that time. And basically, yeah, I ended up getting the PlayStation 3. Now, my parents actually got me the PlayStation 3 because I went over to their house and did basically a whole bunch of electrical work, rewired their whole house for them. And for payment for that, they ended up buying me the PlayStation 3. So that was kind of cool. And then I got a Xbox 360 from a friend because his controllers wouldn't work on it no more, and I ended up fixing that. And then I had to play the Xbox 360 too. And then at the time, we ended up buying the Wii for my son so that he could play, the Mario and the Donkey Kongs and all that kind of stuff. But really, since then, guys, I haven't bought any video game consoles or newer video game consoles. The PS3, Xbox 360 are the newest ones I actually own. And people will probably laugh at that, but because I have all these other video game consoles. But honestly, I mean, I do a lot of PC gaming as well, and quite frankly, I would rather just upgrade my PC every few years than buy a new video game console every few years, especially now where everything's going to digital media instead of physical copies of games and stuff like that. Honestly, I can't stand that. I would rather have the physical copy of the game than have some digital copy that disappears once, you know, that system is X'd out, once the next system comes out, that kind of thing. That's kind of my logic behind it. Now, would I love to have a PS4 and a PS5? Yes, I would. But honestly, guys, I've got all these other game consoles here that I play, so I really don't need the newest, baddest, greatest one. So I can keep myself occupied all day playing things from the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. I have no problem with that. It's just, I'm a retro gamer. That's what I am. So, but really, that's kind of my gaming history, guys, in a nutshell. I know I went through it super fast. I'm just trying to keep this video down in length, but just kind of wanted to give you guys that that history that I had. Now, obviously, I didn't add in my computer history with like the Commodores and the Amigas and the Apples and other things that I had growing up as well. That would probably be in another video one day. But this is just kind of like my console, video game history type thing. So hopefully you guys liked it. And, just like I said, this was a response to retro projections. And once again, go ahead and check out his channel. Look at that link down below, click on it, go to his channel, check him out. Go ahead and sub to him. Like I said, he's a really cool guy, got a really cool channel. But other than that, guys, I am gonna go ahead and get out of here. There's football on, it's Sunday. I'm gonna go watch some football. You know how that goes. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Y'all have a good one. Peace out, y'all.
Game over, man. It's game over.